We're going to get into the basics of how to create shapes in Illustrator. We're going to start by creating geometric shapes and organic shapes. We need to first start in Illustrator with a new file. This file will be called last name first name shapes. We're going to go ahead and keep it at 8.5 by 11, and then all of the bleed measurements and the color mode settings and resolution settings can stay the same. And now we need to make guidelines that will allow us to create a border around our artboard. So I'm going to turn my ruler on, Command R. I'm going to drag my mouse. I held my mouse down on the ruler. I'm going to drag my mouse out to 1/8 of an inch, which is 2 lines after 0. I'm going to do the same thing going this way. I'm going to drag across, coming into, go down, and come up 2. And then I also need to divide my artboard in half because I want to create 2 columns. So I'm going to go ahead and do 4 1/4. And now we're ready to begin. I would go ahead and lock these guides. So if this says lock, go ahead and click on it. And we're going to go ahead and make a line down the center with our line tool, holding shift and making sure that my stroke is on, which it is. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we're going to create a line. I started this one at the line above 1. As I move my mouse up and down when I'm using my line tool, you'll notice that it is showing on my ruler. So I can take a look at my ruler and see where it falls, and then that'll tell me where to put my line. We're going to go ahead and create rectangles in these sections right here. We're going to start with a rectangle, then we're going to do type in area. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the path. We're going to center our type. We're going to start by doing a small font. I have mine set for 12. I'm going to go ahead and increase it as I can, but my type should stay within that box. If it's too big, it will do this. So make sure that your type is at a low number. So mine's at 36. Now instead of having to recreate a box, I'm going to go ahead and hit Command C, Command F, which is then going to allow me to slide a copy over, watching my spacing on the side. If I double click inside the box, it will let me edit the box. So I'm going to do organic. And now we have the same columns. I didn't add organic shapes to this. Let me go back and add that in, which means this is going to have to be smaller. So I went with 21. Okay, now we're ready to go ahead and start drawing. There are a bunch of geometric shapes inside of Illustrator that you can use. The one you cannot use is this flare tool. Although it looks really cool, it causes a lot of memory problems. So I'm going to go ahead and expand out my menu. And I'm just going to get started drawing all sorts of different shapes. I can go back in later and change the colors. And I'm going to go ahead and move it to the rectangle tool. When I draw from the corner out, I have a tendency not to make perfect shapes. If I'm trying to make a perfect square, I would hold my Option and my Shift key and drag straight out. Same thing with this shape as well. Option. If I want to make a perfect square with rounded edges, I can hold the Shift key. If not, just let go of the Option key. you're having to make 20 different shapes on each side, so make sure you've got lots of room. The circle, you have to hold the Option key and the Shift key to go from the center out. If you want to try to make more of an oval, that's fine. You don't have to hold the Option or the Shift key to do that. Now when we get into the polygon and the star tool, there's lots of different shapes, even though it looks like it's just one. If I drag my mouse out, the polygon tool, as I go up and down on my arrow key, can turn into lots and lots of different things. So I'm going to hold my Shift key as I make a triangle, hold my Option key. So that's one shape with the polygon tool. So as I drag out, I can go ahead and increase my sizes, Option and Shift. I'm placing these Option and Shift. You can see it tweaks it so that it makes it straight. And I would just keep going all the way around down until I have 20 different geometric shapes. I will demo some of these advanced shapes in class if the class is on task and able to follow along with this tutorial, but there are lots of different ways that you can make some pretty intricate shapes. You don't have to just stick with these basic shapes. The star, I do want to say, is the same exact thing as the polygon tool in the sense that the arrow key does work to create many different shapes. You can create stars that have multiple sides. So as I go up on my arrow, I'm increasing my sides. The Option key does make it expand. Okay, so I would go through this until I get 20 different shapes. Now, as far as the organic shapes, the organic shapes can be made in different ways. You can use your pen tool, but I more want you to use the paintbrush because we haven't really talked about the pen tool very much, and I think you would have more success right now with your paintbrush. So I'm going to go through here and paint. Oops, actually that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and use my paintbrush with my stroke turned on. You can change your size of the paintbrush. And organic shapes are not measured with math, so I can make this as curved as I want. And I'm going to make sure that the beginning and the end of my lines come together. Now, I have a weird brush turned on right now, so this turned out really strange. I forgot to turn that off before I made the video. So I'm just going to go back to my basic brush. Okay, and I can go ahead and fill these lots of colors. I'm going to demo in class how to use different colors since I don't have a lot of time during the video, but there are a bunch of different ways you can color your shapes. There, it seems to be going back to the same brush. So select it, I'm going to pick it up with this and change it. Okay. So there's lots of fills, there's some even with pattern. There's nothing behind in this white area. This is called the transparent pattern. There's also lots of fills that are in the library that you can access. So if I open up the food and I go into beverages, these are some of the common colors that are used in advertising for beverages. So you can click on any of these colors. There are some gradients that you can use. So there's lots and lots of different ways that you can color. There is a fun paintbrush. It's called the Blob brush. It's right here. It actually makes your stroke into a shape. So as you're painting with your stroke, you can be creating a shape out of the line that you're making. So I'm going to go ahead and just do this. And if we click on that, You'll notice that the line is actually outlined on both sides, and that means that I can come in here with a stroke color and actually outline the line. So it almost looks like the line itself is a shape, whereas here it's just one-sided. So that's another way. And once you're done with all 20, then you've finished your assignment. I would use the internet for inspiration. I would look around you, see different types of shapes that you can find in the classroom. Even looking at your phone has lots of different shapes on it. There's inspiration everywhere. I went online and I looked up seashells, and this one reminded me of an avocado. There's lots of different examples online. You're going to go ahead and save this file, and then you're going to go ahead and turn it in on Schooloop.